train traveling circus, a misunderstood baby, and pink elephants on parade? All of this can only mean one thing. We're comparing Dumbo on this episode of Retro versus Remake.
I'm Reggie Parker.
And I'm Dan Bulick. Welcome to another episode of Retro versus Remake. This is the series where we compare movies and their remakes. Join us as we answer the question, should this remake exist? Today's films, Dumbo. So let's get right into it. Dumbo, originally made in 1941, the fourth Disney animated feature. Starring Edward Brophy, Verna Felton, Cliff Edwards, Herman Bing, and Sterling Holloway. I don't know these people. It's an old movie, 1941. So, directed by, well, in the credits, it was supervising director is Ben Sharpstein, while sequence directors Norman Ferguson, Wilfred Jackson, Bill Roberts, Jack Kinney, and Samuel Armstrong. Story by Otto Englander, Joe Grant, and Dick Humer. And this is based on Dumbo and the Flying Elephant by Helen Arberson and Harold Pearl. Music by Frank Churchill and Oliver Wallace. Then we got Dumbo 2019, starring Colin Farrell, Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, Eva Green, Nico Parker, Finley Hobbins, Rosha Seth, Diobia Apere, and Joseph Gatt. Directed by Tim Burton. Screenplay by Aaron Cougar, and music by Danny Elfman. All right, moving along. Reggie, what is your first experience with that film?
Yeah, my first experience with the original film, as you know, kind of growing up, we had like the VHS tapes, and I had like plenty of different Disney content on VHS, whether it was like Fantasia. I had like the old Winnie the Pooh movie, and Dumbo was in the rotation. Going back, rewatching it, Disney has this disclaimer at the beginning of it. So, again, as a kid, I took Dumbo in. Didn't really think about it because I was like, whatever, 6, But Disney added basically a disclaimer at the beginning of the films that you can't skip. And in part it says, these stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversations to create a more inclusive future together. I guess it's us having a conversation. There's some minstrelly characters that we'll talk about that I just didn't take in as a kid.
Yeah, it's going to go right over your head.
Yeah.
I mean, as an adult, you're like, okay.
Yeah, as an adult, I was like, oh, this is rough.
I mean, granted, obviously, it's not the best thing that they put this stuff, but I'm glad they don't take it out. They don't try to erase the past and be like, oh, we never did that.
I agree. I was having a debate with my spouse about this movie, kind of like in an innocuous way. I was like, oh yeah, we're going to do Dumbo in this episode. She's like, are you worried that you're perpetuating harmful stereotypes? I was like, no. I didn't think about it that way. But I get it. It's definitely an active debate. I tend to agree with their just keeping the content in with the disclaimer. You can't really change the fact that this movie came out when it came out.
Right.
It's part of the content and definitely can be a learning point for a lot of people. So, it's a movie that I grew up with that, has not aged well in some ways. But, I'm glad that it's still there for me to view and, I guess, engage with. So there's that. And then the remake, because of those crows, I was like, I'm not watching this. I'm not watching this bullshit. So I've never seen the remake until this episode.
I have never seen Dumbo before. Yeah, I did not grow up with Dumbo. My biggest exposures to Dumbo were Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Kingdom Hearts. Okay. So I knew Flying Elephant. I had no idea what the story was, and I definitely did not see the remake. Yeah. So it was totally fresh for me, this experience.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too, because when I was having the conversation, we were kind of going back and forth. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if people think about it, and maybe there's content that's not great, but there are plenty of people who, like yourself, have never engaged with Dumbo, and actually it's a conversation that can be had. So I think personally, I think it's a net positive. Some people may not. Tell us what you think in the comments.
All right. So these films are very similar to a point.
Yeah.
I'm going to just throw this out on Front Street. The remake is twice as long as the original. The original is about an hour, remake's 2 hours. So they put in a lot of new shit. So this synopsis is just going to stop at a certain point. But for those who haven't watched the films, let's talk a little bit about what's happening in Dumbo. We begin with the circus traveling by train. The troupe has many spectacles, including wild animals. One night, a stork pays a visit to an elephant, Mrs. Jumbo. The next day, she has a child, Jumbo Jr., and everyone is excited until they get a closer look. Jumbo Jr. has incredibly large ears. The circus troupe and even other elephants are embarrassed of him. It doesn't matter to Mrs. Jumbo, she loves her baby. The troupe try to incorporate baby Jumbo in an act while concealing his ears. At first things seem to go well, but the inevitable happens and everybody sees them. Baby Jumbo is ridiculed and even called a new name, Dumbo. The reaction to Dumbo is so negative, Mrs. Jumbo feels she needs to protect her baby, and she'll attack anyone who gets in her way. Eventually, Mrs. Jumbo's rampage ends, and she's immediately isolated from everyone, even Dumbo. But Dumbo still sneaks out to see his mom from time to time. While away from his mom, with some help, Dumbo learns he can actually use his large ears to fly, but they keep it a secret. Send in the clowns. Not sure what to do about his large ear, Dumbo is made into a clown, participating with other clowns dressed as firefighters. During the act, Dumbo eventually has to jump from a great height. He jumps, but much to everyone's surprise, he flies. Dumbo the Flying Elephant is a hit. And from here, the movies go completely different paths. And ultimately, Dumbo and Mama Elephant are reunited, and they all live happily ever after. Like I said, they're very similar to a point, and I'm sure we will focus on that point and onwards. Because, like I said, twice as long. There's a lot of new shit here. So let's just jump right into these differences. The first and most obvious difference is our original film is animated, while our remake is live action. What that means, too, is that the live action is a little more realistic. In the animated version, the animals, as well as humans, humans and animals both talk, but in the remake, they keep it a little more real. None of the animals are talking, so it's humans who are kind of carrying the narrative. It's very similar to another film we did, 101 Dalmatians.
Right.
So I was wondering what you thought about that.
Like I said, I had seen Dumbo before, and I guess I now realize kind of like why I may have seen it as often as I did on VHS is because it's a short movie.
Yeah.
It's like a really, really short movie. The animated element of it makes it so that, you hear the actual animals talk in the film. Except for Dumbo.
Except for Dumbo.
Except for Dumbo.
And Mama Jumbo, I should say, only has like one line.
Yeah.
When she names them.
Yep, Mama Jumbo has one line. There's these kind of jerky elephants.
Yeah, the cool elephants.
Yeah. That we'll talk about in a lot of the speech between those cool elephants that you're talking about, and then a character that gets introduced, Timothy Q Mouse. Yeah, Timothy Q Mouse. That's where like almost all of your dialogue is coming from. You barely have humans speaking in this film, so it's quite the departure from the remake where humans do all the talking.
Yes.
Which I guess that's more realistic, right? Humans?
Well, yeah. Humans tend to talk while animals don't, at least in a way that we can understand, so... Yeah, and, it's realistic.
Yeah, and we were even having a discussion before the podcast, like, about the music, because there's not a lot of human speech, really, in the original film. There's more of an emphasis on some of the music numbers that happen throughout the film, and I think because the film was so short, and there's not that much dialogue, I almost kind of put it in the category of musical. Like, is this a musical?
Is this a musical? I didn't really think of it as a musical when I saw it. I think of like the other Disney movies that I've seen, like Aladdin or Lion King. Like, they have musical numbers in them, but they're not particularly musicals. There's just like animated films with musical numbers in it. Yeah. Especially because the musical numbers in Dumbo, except for Pink Elephants on Parade, like that's the most elaborate one. They're like the first couple musicals numbers are just pretty pretty humble.
Yeah.
They're not too like flashy and showy. So like it's got music in it. Granted, it is short, so like 4 musical numbers is like half the movie practically. But just because I don't really view like any of those other Disney movies as musicals, I just feel like it's just animated movies with some musical numbers.
That's fair. That's fair. Because I'm about to introduce a new segment where we just go down the list. Is Aristocrats a musical? There were times where in that original film, I was thinking like, am I supposed to know what this stuff is? Like there was the Casey Jr. train. I didn't. Yeah. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
All right, cool. Well, we're both lost. But, it doesn't matter what the train's called. It doesn't matter who's talking. It's a story about Dumbo. And whether it's the elephants or Timothy the mouse introducing this element, or it's these human players that we're going to talk about, I think they overall get to the same general point and premise. Yeah,
I think they did a really good job of not having the animals talk. Just like there's a lot of animosity with the elephants in the original film. Yeah, that they're just it's kind of like Rudolph. They're just not accepting him in their reindeer games. Those other elephants, and you can't really convey that because the animals aren't talking. There's like a scene where the elephants kind of see Dumbo and they start freaking out. Like, look at that ugly elephant. Yeah. So. To kind of go around it and just like focus on these humans a little bit more, you're kind of like, oh man, I don't really want to. It's like Transformers all over again. I gotta focus on these humans. But I think they're still really able to convey some of the really important elements of Dumbo. Yeah. It's the relationship between the mother and the son, right? That's the focal point. Totally. And I think they did a really good job of not having them talk and still just able to convey that longing to just be together. And I think it really worked.
Yeah, I think. They do a good job of nodding at things, making allusions to the original film without really beating over the head with dialogue. Like, they just, like you said, in those moments with the CGI elephants, they do convey a lot of the same emotion that you're able to do so easily with animated film because you can do whatever you want. You want the mouse to come out and wear like a band or like ring conductor's outfit, sure, you can do that. You want random crows to show up at some point, you can do that too. Why would you want to? But even with the added human dialogue, I think that they let the story that was told kind of be told through those moments rather than just in dialogue. Right. And I thought it was pretty effective.
Yeah, I thought it was very effective. You're able to get the emotion really well without any dialogue. Yeah. And, we'll get into the scenes later, perhaps, but I think it was a good choice to not have the elephants or any of the animals talk.
I would say, like, in a way, because you brought up the 101 Dalmatians, until it became, a little Home Alone-y. I thought that movie did that well as well. So
that was one of the things that I liked about that movie is that they were able to do that well, and I think they were able to do it well here too.
Yeah, and again, we'll talk about it a lot, but like because this movie is longer, they add a lot of kind of like random backstory in there that I was like, am I okay with this? And overall, I think the answer was yes, because they were able to have that as like framing, but like that original structure was just still there. So, but yeah, thought the live action worked, as well as it could versus like an animated film.
Yeah. So we have all these humans in the remake. I think we should maybe talk a little bit about each of them. Sure. And then our opinions, or just at least initial reads on like how we felt about these characters. So I'm going to start with good old reliable Danny DeVito as Maximilian Max Medici, our ringleader.
The elephant is not for sale. Dumbo will only fly for the Medici circus.
You put Danny DeVito on anything, I'm going to love it. Yeah. I can't deny it. Man is an American treasure. I am so worried because he's just getting older and older, man.
I know.
I'm going to be heartbroken one day. I'm a huge fan of It's Always Sunny. So I was happy to see, like, him kind of tap into that Frank, not complete debauchery of Frank.
Still a children's film.
Yeah, he couldn't do like half the stuff he did there, but still, you get angry yet somehow lovable DeVito.
Right.
It worked really well. If you gotta have a human be a focal point, I'm glad it's somebody who who's just always brings their A game to
Yeah.
whatever they do. And Danny DeVito, I thought, was pretty solid.
I think DeVito, like you mentioned, he is such a treasure. He's so able to occupy a space that could be villainous,
Right.
but he plays it just out back enough that like has redeeming qualities to him.
Yeah.
This Medici character, though he's a bit of a grifter, hustler type guy. He's running this circus. He comes into town, give me the tickets, and we're getting out of here. He still has these elements where he cares about the people that work in his troupe. He may have sold all of your stuff, but you still watch your kids while
Hey,
you're
there you go.
at the war. We'll talk about that. But yeah, even with that sort of little bit of an edge to him, DeVito is funny. Occupies like space where he can be both comedic and in charge, and it takes some time in the movie to figure out kind of whose side he's on.
Right.
And I think he played it so well
Right.
that there's a bit of an arc for him, and I think it overall pays off.
Overall, I think it pays off.
There's some elements
There's some elements. There's a point in the movie where he takes a back seat to another character. So
how could you not?
Yeah. So that's my only complaint about his character is that he's so good in like the first half.
Yeah.
And then he just takes a back seat and he's kind of like, and then he just kind of has his redemption arc. So he's not the angry, vulgar guy that I really liked in the first half. So it's good, but I wanted more.
Yeah, I think when we get into that other character, kind of like our villain, who we'll talk about, he just starts taking up scenes, and I thought because they had set DeVito's Medici up so well, I thought they'd have more of like a back and forth, more like actual tension. And you're right, he does just kind of like concede, submit, and just takes a back seat to this more bombastic character. It's
bombastic,
which is strange because like DeVito could easily, compete with this villain, and he just doesn't. Yeah.
So missed opportunity, but overall, it's Danny DeVito. Still gives a hell of a performance, especially in the first half.
Yeah, the first half is really strong for him.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's kind of like our gray character. I guess we do have to have like a main good character.
Right.
And that's Colin Farrell's Holt Ferrier.
Well, who's gonna be willing to help me?
Yeah.
He's boring.
Yeah.
He's boring.
Even from like the beginning of the film, and it's like I almost get it, because at the end of the day, like when you look at Dumbo, he's got the big ears, right? So it's like people are making fun of this sort of main elephant character because he's different,
right?
Because of, I guess, the war, right? Holt Ferrier comes back to the circus missing an arm. So now he's in that space where he's different. That's probably the most interesting thing about him, and I also found it to be really arbitrary that he doesn't have an arm. I just think that like having in the film, Holt Ferrier's wife has died while he's at war from like pneumonia. Sucks. And like I feel like that was probably enough. Having him have like the struggle with his arm,
right? I
don't think it paid off because we're so focused on so many different characters that have their own differences and problems. They're like, it just felt like we gotta give him a thing. Like he can't just be like a bad dad. He's got to be like a bad dad in one arm.
No, you definitely just touched upon something that I think we're gonna talk about a lot more in the remake. There's a lot packed in.
A lot.
Like everybody has an arc in this movie.
I don't care if you're the random mermaid woman. You've got an arc. If you're any animal, you've got an arc. Like everyone,
it's literally like Oprah. You've got an arc. You've got an arc. It's pretty nuts what they did with this movie. So yeah, you're right. To give him that additional arc of like, well, because before he went to the war, he was able to ride horses, and now he can't do it because he's a one-armed guy. So it's like now he can't even do that. So he got stuck with the elephants. So now we need this whole redemption of arc that he can go back and ride horses and be this amazing horse rider again. It was just like, wow, we're really going on this journey, right? Where we could have just focused on like you were away from the war and your kids, maybe just a little
disconnected.
Yeah,
Just
let's just reunite that. Maybe there's a little bit of an estrangement between the two of you, and let's just reconnect. That's all you needed to do.
Really it.
Because the whole thing about Dumbo and like his mother, you know, it's about them needing to connect.
Mm-hmm.
So you figure you're gonna have the parallel line with the kids.
You're saying the movie's about Dumbo. The movie's not about Hope Farrier? Because I thought the movie was about Hope Farrier for a while there.
And there's like a love interest thrown in there for like no reason. It's like, oh, dude, this guy's got way too much going on. Man.
It's like,
and he's boring.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem. Like Colin Farrell, as soon as in the movie, he's like, okay,
he's Mr. Depressing.
Yeah,
he's just all the time. Just like
his intro is depressing. His intro is like overcast, and like he gets off the train, and he's like, oh, this arm, yeah, the war. Hey kids, it's not so bad that your mom's dead. And it's like, wow. like there are scenes that I think I gathered that he was kind of he didn't want people to recognize him at parts of the movie. I guess because in his head he had a fall from grace, but because I didn't see that fall, I didn't care, and I didn't really get that like story, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want people to see my face.
Okay, so he puts on a fake mustache. He's wearing this prosthetic. That wasn't his idea, but still, he doesn't want people to know it's him. And I didn't get that either. It came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like, I guess going from like a big part of the show, which we never see, so it doesn't matter,
right?
To being relegated to like
the elephant wrangler.
It's like kind of like unskilled labor. It's like a roostabout, something like that.
Okay.
But anyway, they use that term, an allusion to the original film. I really don't know if it's a PC term. Don't get mad at me. I'm just saying it. But I guess because he's going from like kind of like the star of the show, which again we don't see, to this pooper scooper, you know. I guess he doesn't want people to recognize him, but like that really didn't translate. And I 100% agree with you. Love interest, why? All this backstory, why? When like ultimately like is Dumbo going to get back to his mom? Like that's the question that we're asking. Not is Hope Farrier going to figure out being a father, figure out being a trick horse rider again? Is he going to hook up with that chick? Is he going to, say too much?
Is he going to get an arm back? A mechanical arm?
Yeah. It's if the movie was called Hold to Dumbo, I'd be like, okay, because it even overpowers some of the stuff that they try to do with the kids. I'm like, why am I so? It's a kids movie. Why am I so focused on Colin Farrell's random kind of life going poorly? You know, I found it to be a little strange. And you're right. He's with all of this going on, he's so fucking boring.
He's a one-note character, that's why. Because he's always just, like, upset. It's like, well, my wife's dead. I lost my arm. I can't do my horses. People know who I am. This sucks. My kids don't listen to me. Where's all my shit? What the fuck? I was away for a war and you sold my shit? What is it, toys? Science? My daughter won't be a scientist.
Not on my watch. You get on that saddle. You learn to do a backflip on a horse or something. Something useful, not this science.
You're a girl.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that. And it's I don't want to say a missed opportunity. It's too much of an opportunity. It's I get you got Colin Farrell to be in your movie, but it doesn't matter. It's not about him. You know, he really should have been more background. I feel like I've seen other children's films like Stuart Little. You got what's his name, Hugh Laurie in it. He's just like, I'm the dad. You know? I didn't even know it was Hugh Laurie for all those years. Should have been the same thing. Colin Farrell should have been there to be a face. I guess you keep the love interest, but like they just should have dialed that character back. Yeah, and maybe dialed up the kids a little bit more.
Yeah, like I said, I think the focus should have been him and his kids.
Mm-hmm.
The reunion. How weird it is to kind of reunite after war, especially because while you were away, their mom died and you weren't there, and then so there's kind of like the strain on the relationship, and you could have just focused on that, but we went for a ride. We went for a long
big ride.
And like I said, it's a longer movie. It didn't need to be that long.
No, I can wholeheartedly agree that part of it is the whole story and them trying to like really build this character out in a way that you just don't need to be honest. And you know, it also drags out because like when we introduce the love interest character, who we'll talk about, like now we gotta explain why she's there, and it's just you had this really streamlined like 67-minute movie that like it's a thin plot, the story of Dumbo,
very thin,
you know, and I think they're trying to like overcorrect with this character, and I think they just did a little too much with this guy. I wish there was less Colin Farrell, at least what we got out of the character.
I mean, and the problem is not just him, because like everybody else has an arc too.
Yeah,
so we got to complete all those arcs. Let's move on.
Let's complete them.
we were talking about his kids, so let's get into them. So that's Nico Parker as Millie.
Dad?
Huh?
It's Mrs. Jumbo.
And then Finley Hobbins as Joe.
No, not the feather. Your ears.
I actually need to correct myself. I don't think Joe really has anything.
I was about to say that as well. That like Joe is the least fleshed out character in the film. I mean, behind Dumbo, behind like random strongmen, you know, like he's there. Honestly, maybe he should just have one kid.
I was just thinking about that right now. I was like, I don't think you need two kids. What did he really do?
Nothing.
She was the one that was like
She's
really like leading the way and like getting everything done, you know.
And you know, and you have this story arc where like the mom died. You know, like maybe it is just about her.
Yeah, and then it would have paralleled the story of Dumbo and his mother. It would have been really good.
I think they were like checking that like box of like, okay, we got this key demo with
right.
kids.
Where's the little boy?
We need a boy.
Exactly.
But like, if he's not gonna be in the movie, what's the point, man? Like,
the boys just latch to Dumbo. Man. That's all you need.
They'll latch to Dumbo, or like maybe do more stuff with the monkey and stuff like that. We can watch a film with no like male kid lead like that. It's been done. Yeah. You know, people like Frozen. You know, like, I don't know. It's just I feel bad because like the kid wasn't doing anything wrong. He just wasn't really in the movie.
Yeah, and he just wasn't really like, again, just like Colin Farrell, wasn't really that interesting when he was in the movie. I know he can kind of juggle.
Yeah.
But he really felt like, you know, between him and his sister, he was definitely like the sidekick.
Yeah.
Just kind of like following her lead, and she was really the one taking charge.
And I think it's because they made Nico Parker's Millie interesting. They made her interesting. She had the key that her mother gave her, which I thought was going to come into play a little bit more. What they did with it was strange, but we'll get there. You know, I thought like unlock maybe chain from an elephant or something like that. I know. I know we rewrite movies too much, but drink. We changed the plot. I found it to be the most compelling character in the movie. I thought she did a great job, Nico Parker, and that was an addition that I was really okay with. But to have like the brother there kind of arbitrarily, I felt like it took away from some of the performance because like they're just trying to find something for that kid to do, and it, you know, like you said, that parallel between Nico's Millie and Dumbo, the missing mother, like that element worked really well, and they should have just kind of sat in that as opposed to try to do everything else.
Yeah, because she even like has a moment where it's just her and her father, which is probably one of his better scenes.
Oh yeah, totally.
And you know, you just focus on that relationship between those two, and it would have been a lot better and a lot more compelling. But overall, like, yeah, her character was interesting, but I just felt a little maybe out of place because we're in like 1919, right?
Yeah,
and she's really coming at it with some like maybe 21st century ideas about like what a woman's role in society is, and like, well, I'm just gonna be this. I'm gonna follow Mary Curie. So, granted, Mary Curie's around that time.
Yeah,
so, works well, but I just felt like it was a little maybe too much sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, just be a kid, man. You don't gotta be boring and serious like your dad all the time.
Yeah, they did make her like very serious. Yeah, I can see that. I had some of those thoughts too, that it did feel a little maybe early for like how much leeway she got to explore. Look, that's a good thing, right? Like, you know, kids should be able to express themselves and do the things that they want to do and follow their dreams. Just would they have let you? You're in a traveling circus in the 1919s. Yeah, you probably would tell that kid to like shut up and learn some circus
or like
trade.
learn to cook or something. I don't know. Something
very,
unfortunate. Very terribly stereotypical.
Yeah.
I appreciate the effort into like, just not making her like a one-dimensional character. Yeah. And she was definitely the more interesting of the two siblings.
Totally. But even the lean into like her being interested in science, it was very loose what they were calling science in the movie, It wasn't really science. It was more like she would use the scientific method. Sure. Right? In order to like just experiment. It wasn't really like science. Yeah. It was just like, well, there's a process to do this. We can't just go with our gut. We need to do this method. Observe. Yeah, exactly. Man, once again, I kind of wish the brother wasn't in those scenes because I think they could have like expanded that more. Yeah. And like I said, she was a little bit boring because I feel like they gave the brother a little bit more of that playful thing, and then like she could have done that. Yeah, she could have been playful and serious. So she could have been like a much more interesting character, but we had the brother. So yeah, it kind of takes me back to when we did the True Grit episodes, like Haley Stanfield, who had to wear a lot of hats in that movie, and it was phenomenal. Yeah. And I feel like Nico Parker really could have occupied that type of space. And you're right, they take kid elements to put in the brother, and they just left her with this, I'm a serious science, factual-based person. Right. And they really don't dive into that enough. Comment here or there from her father, is about it. And I really thought, especially when they moved into the phase of the film where it got very different from the original. Right. I was like, oh man, this is a huge playground for this kid to like do something, and they just don't. Yeah. They don't. Weird. Yeah, like I said, it's very loose, the science that she really is into. But, it's a slight departure, I suppose. So it's interesting enough, but it does feel like, again, it's just like a slightly missed opportunity with her character, and it's not really her fault. It's just we got too many players in the game here. So if we got rid of that brother, it would have been a lot better for her, I think. Yeah, I think so. But like you're saying, like I think this may become sort of a theme for this episode. There's so much going on that I can't sit with that character long enough to get that connection. And I mean, speaking of that, we talked a little bit about DeVito kind of occupying like a somewhat villainous role. But when the real big bad shows up, again, another character gets dwarfed because of what we see. So let's get into him. We have Michael Keaton as V.A. Vanderveer.
Is that a monkey in your desk? Just for emergencies.
First of all, I just got to throw it out there. We got Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito in a Tim Burton movie. Yeah. We got Batman and Penguin reunited with Tim Burton. So I was really excited when I saw Michael Keaton walk on. I was like, oh boy. Yeah. I'm so happy. And you know what? First impression, really liked his character. Yeah. Over the top, very like weird in a way. Like I had a feeling he was, just because the way he was introduced, he was going to be our big baddie. But they kind of kept it a little bit on the gray side at first, because he just seemed like someone who was very enthusiastic about the possibilities with Dumbo. And then when he's like alone in the field with Danny DeVito's character, and he's just like explaining to him like the wonders of everything that's going to happen, and he's just kind of like looking at the sky and monologuing, just being like an ass. And Danny DeVito's just like, what? So, like, I really liked that character. It's a very, very fun character. Like, I didn't realize until, like, the end of the film that it was a Tim Burton film. It didn't feel very Burton-y to me until I was like, oh, yes, it was. This is great. But, like, that character is the most kind of, like, Burton-esque in the film to me. Like, he just comes out, he's got, like, such a flair with his clothing and his whole look, and that just wig he's got on. It's nuts. It's nuts. But like, yeah, I mean, he's immediately a compelling character. I found him to be like, just like you said, those monologues going into nowhere. It was a lot of fun, and like, again, kind of playing off of this sort of the way the daughter is. Like, yeah, we have the old way of doing things. Here's a more modern way of doing things.
he occupies that space really, really well. And like I say, he plays it close enough to the chest that you don't really know how rough he is until, it's revealed further.
He does.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it when I guess we're talking about the ending, but it's when he takes that turn that his character just goes like, what the fuck? what happened?
He goes off the rails because, like, he's such a, I don't know, he's very calculated. He's very logical throughout the film until he's just not.
Yeah. And it's like, what happened? Where did this guy come from?
To me, it just felt like you've got this guy who's figured all this stuff out. Like, this situation with the elephant, this Dumbo character. Yeah, it's an L. You're taking a loss here, potentially, but you got all this other stuff going on. I just found it to be so strange. And we'll get there, but, like, that he just has this complete maddening turn because of potentially losing this elephant. And, his character, I guess, is possessive, and maybe that's what drives him over the top, but, like, he's willing to let other things go. He's willing to let the love interest just go pretty easily. I feel like if we saw him being more controlling and manipulative, which he's already pretty controlling and manipulative, but, like, it would explain why he goes so nuts at the end of the film.
He starts out kind of gray. You're like, okay, he's probably going to be our big baddie, but you can't really tell from this initial meet of him. And then all of a sudden, it just turns. And I felt like, why are we doing this?
Yeah,
we just need him to be a villain now.
Yeah.
And there was, like, no motivation. He kind of gives, like, some shitty explanations sometimes, like, especially when we gotta get rid of Mrs. Jumbo. He's like, well, the best part about being an adult is learning to be alone. It's like, well, you don't gotta be a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, we'll get into that when we talk about the ending, but it comes out of nowhere, and it kind of, he does become that mustache twirling cartoon character of a villain, and you set him up so interesting. Yeah,
he could have been so layered and nuanced, and it just like I said, it just becomes a mustache twirl where I think there was a space for him to still be bad, or even have like an arc, a redemption arc potentially.
Yeah, why not?
He's not necessarily. Until he is, he's not necessarily all bad.
Yeah, because he, honestly, like, his thing is, like, another plot. I need to get the banks to invest in because I have no money.
Alan Arkin showed up.
We need Alan Arkin randomly.
He was fine.
Alan Arkin's just being Alan Arkin.
Yeah.
Random cameo in this movie.
Yeah.
But, like, it's like, it's not a terrible thing. It's like he's not really trying to exploit Dumbo. He's treating him really well.
Yeah.
He does have this monster island where he might be exploiting the other animals, but we never really focus on that because we got a billion different things going on at the same time. So we don't know how those animals are really treated. We just know that Dumbo's mom is there and he doesn't want them together for reasons.
I didn't know they were being treated poorly until like the end of the film.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Nightmare Island was a lot of fun. I thought that Nightmare Island was where I would go. Hey, kids, come to Nightmare Island. I was a little disappointed because I liked the character. Mm-hmm. And in the end, towards the end, I didn't because he just took this weird, hard left turn that just was inexplicable and just kind of ruined the whole thing.
It's like, I feel like the movie ran into a problem. It's like, well, how do we stop this powerful character? Have him kind of sabotage himself. Yeah,
sure.
Okay. Why?
And like even before that big sabotage that we'll talk about at the end, I feel like he sabotaged himself. It's like, all right, you've identified that Dumbo wants his mother.
Right.
Put her in the act.
Put her in the act. Keep your talent happy.
Put her in the act. I mean, like, you don't have to pay the elephant. You already have the elephant. I don't understand why your instinct is like, Which, by the way, the fact that Jumbo's mother is there is another problem with the film. Yeah. Because they introduced another guy who could have been the bad guy. I don't even remember his name, but he came back.
Rufus?
Oh, is that?
What are you talking about?
No, the guy that bought his elephant back.
Oh, yeah. I don't know who that guy
is. I know. Mrs. Jumbo was a Far East elephant that Dan DeVito bought from some guy. The guy comes back because of an event. They killed the guy. Didn't see that coming.
Rufus deserved to die.
Rufus definitely deserved to die. You're right. Rufus could have been the bad guy too. I forgot about that. There's like 5 potential bad guys in this movie. Rufus, another arbitrary villain. I don't even waste time with him because he's just bad just to be bad.
Yeah, he's bad just to be bad, but I am glad they got rid of him early.
Yes.
I didn't want to see his fucking face showing up constantly, constantly like being a problem for everybody, so I'm glad that he killed him pretty early in the movie.
Right.
And it was a pretty satisfying death.
It really was, actually, for a children's film to kill someone off that early. I was like, yeah, much needed, because he kind of ruined everything.
Yeah. And you just didn't want to see him being a foil all constantly throughout the whole film.
Yeah, and I mean, my problem with this Rufus character is he's a Hulk foil. And, like, I don't know enough about Hulk for him to now have this bad guy who's, like, not really defined at all. He just kind of doesn't like Hulk because I guess he was a hotshot. And now he's being, like, a jerk to the elephants because he doesn't like Hulk. Like,
I think he's just a piece of shit. He would have been a piece of shit to the elephants even if Hulk wasn't there. I saw him, and I know they made him a foil as a Hulk, but I really saw him as more like a foil to Dumbo.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so I was focusing on that more because I know it's like, well, look at you now, cowboy. It's like, well, we don't care that you have a beef with Hulk because you're not the focus of the movie. But I do care that you're treating the mom wrong, that you're treating Dumbo wrong. So if you do that shit, you're definitely a villain in my eyes. So like, that's what I thought he was there for. And like I said, I'm really glad he was out
super early. That was definitely worthwhile. But like, again, just because they introduce all this stuff, to have the elephant brought back by the random guy, to then have somehow Keaton's character now has the elephant. Like, there's just a lot of moving parts that I just kind of papered over because it wasn't important to the plot. Right. Which is like, why is it there?
There's just a lot going on. I will say this, though. I do like that mom was sold. I think that raised the stakes quite a bit. And
I agree.
And I was like, okay, we got a lot of time in this movie. So yeah, it makes sense. Let's just completely get rid of the mom, and fucking heartbreaking scene after heartbreaking scene that this remake does. I'll say that for this remake. The scene with Dumbo and his mom, I cried so much.
Yeah, that was pretty rough.
They did it really well in this movie. So like, kudos to that, to establishing that relationship, and to raising the stakes by actually getting rid of her. And you set it up so beautifully, and then you just kind of like, well, I guess this guy has it.
It's funny, like, as I was watching those scenes, because one time I was on a plane, and I had seen the movie Water for Elephants, starring Robert Pattinson, Reese Witherspoon, and Christoph Waltz. And it's a pretty dramatic tale of, like, a similar time period in circus life, and it's got like dark elements. It's definitely not for kids. And I was like, man, this feels a lot like this dramatic period piece that I watched. I was like, I was very glad to move past the drama period piece. I was like, I've seen that movie. It's dark. I want to watch the fun elephant movie. So yeah, getting rid of Rufus was good. And selling the mom, 100% agree that like, I didn't see that coming. Yeah. It was like, oh man, what's going to happen? Yeah. And it had me on my toes, which was really interesting for a movie that probably shouldn't. It's like, oh no!
Oh no, man! I'm not ready for this.
It's all right, man.
Waterworks. Oof.
Yeah. I know we kind of veered off the pathway a little bit, but ultimately, like, Keaton's character is set up to be such a good villain, and with all the elements, and I think that's how we got all the way over there. With all the elements going on, it's a lot to take in, and it's very Dr. Moreau-like. They don't do enough to explain why now the movie is taking this sharp turn. And it's a shame, because Keaton, I thought, was great until he kind of wasn't.
Even kind of like a little bit at the end when he's kind of like insane. He's still kind of, he's delivering pretty well. His lines, his madness, his wig is all disheveled. Yeah. He's absolutely insane. Like, his performance is great, but the motive is lost. Yeah. So, but like, Keaton's great overall, but I just wish there was a better motive for that turn all of a sudden.
Yeah. If you just ease me in that turn a little bit better, I wouldn't even complain. Or if it was just dialed down a lot. Like, it just went way.
It hit 11 and it just stayed there after a certain point.
Because like, I think Burton does a good job with characters like this, you know, like, and why I mentioned I think he could still be a good guy is he's similarly motivated like when Tim Burton did Willy Wonka, you know, like the guy was like, oh, you know, you gotta be alone, like my dad didn't like, you know, like
Right.
this guy who has like maybe issues in relationships, but is used as motivation to like rise to like this the height of circusry, I guess. But for him to just be so willing, which we'll talk about, to throw it all away on like basically a whim, it just really was shocking to me. Yeah. Also, his ability to just like, I guess I'm done with you, love interest. I found that to be strange as well. So
we'll get into her. So we got Eva Green is Colette Marchand.
Dumbo will only fly for the Medici circus.
That's assuming he is real.
This is kind of, you assume it's like his girlfriend,
or
maybe even his wife, I thought, but no, she's just kind of like, I guess, arm candy, as she kind of describes it. Just he likes to flaunt around his prizes, I think, is something she might have said. And, you know, again, it's another character who could have went good, could have went evil. Ultimately, she does go down the good path. She's an acrobat, and she's pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Interesting character.
I thought she was giving me, like, bad guy vibes at first.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
this
absolutely.
is going to be cool. And
yeah, like, I'm going to break Dumbo and make him do what I want kind of vibes. But no, she's pretty chill.
Like, 20 seconds later, she's like, oh, yeah, all right, it's the elephant. Nice. Pleasure working with you. Man, it's just like, with that Keaton setup and, like, her dynamic look, at the beginning, I was like, ooh,
right.
fun here.
Right.
Yeah. Which, you know, she still is, like you mentioned, she still is an interesting character. This, like, French street performer that has, I don't know, become the queen of the heavens and stuff like that. Like, it's kind of cool, but she ends up taking, like, a back seat in most of her scenes to either the kids, Dumbo, or Hulk. And it's like, or Michael Keaton, so it's like, or any myriad person in the film. So it's like, you've got this really cool, potentially compelling character that is just kind of like, so how does the elephant work? Oh, that's how the elephant works? Okay. What's the deal with Hulk? Well, we're not really a thing, but, you know, he kind of likes me. It's like, okay. I felt like, where are we going? Because I want to go there. Like, you said, I want to go with you. You didn't take me anywhere.
Yeah. No, I like her character, but the problem is there's so many characters already. There's so many plots going on in this movie. So Eva Green, I think she did a really good job with what she had, but unfortunately, we're taking away focus from all of the other 10,000 plots happening in this movie. So it's like, it's not really important what's happening with her character. So while I like her, and I like that, like, she was kind of like, she could be this villain, and she was ultimately a good guy, it's like, at the end of the day, I don't think we needed to really flesh out your character at all. I don't even know if we needed your character in the movie, because there's just so many things going on already. Yeah.
You know, again, kind of going back to this premise that, like, the original Dumbo is just a really streamlined story. It's like, here's a train, here's a stork, this elephant has a kid, people make fun of the elephant, makes the mom freak out, he's shunned by his peers, his family, basically. He learns he has a talent, you know, and that talent takes him to new heights.
And reunites him with his mother.
Yes, and reunites him. Central. Critical that he's reunited with his mother. Now we're competing with Science Kid, One-Armed Cowboy, villain that wants to modernize circusry, Danny DeVito being kind of taken advantage of in a situation that looked like it was advantageous to him. I keep wanting to say Marion Cotillard. I was just like, that was the vibe I got the whole time. But like Eva Green, who's like, I'm a street performer, but like this guy treats me like shit. But I'm so much more than that. And like, it's in Alan Arkin wants to invest money. And also Nightmare Island. And also there's this other guy who wears like elephant boots. Like there's so much going on. And I wish that we sat back with this character more. Again, I think if you reduce the number of kids by one, and she becomes just a maternal figure, and like maybe helps the kid with like, yes, you can do science, but you can also do this too. Like maybe there's a way to put science into my act. You know, like I don't know. Like
stop rewriting the script, right?
Damn it, sorry.
No, but you're right. The problem isn't anything that Eva did or anything in the script. It was just that we have too many players here. And yeah, the movie, her story could definitely benefited from less people in the movie.
Yeah.
So she's just introduced late, and we've already got people we're invested in. Now I got to invest in you too.
Yeah,
Come on, man. I can only handle so many plot lines at once.
Yeah, and you know, like as she's being introduced, this is a critical time for Dumbo in the film, right? Like, we haven't talked about Dumbo in like 30 minutes. Holy shit. Like, in the remake, Dumbo, we learn that he can fly much earlier in the film. Like,
which I like.
Which I did enjoy too. It's like, within the first 25 minutes, you know Dumbo can fly. And you kind of figure out what to do with that knowledge. You don't really find out Dumbo can fly until like the very end of the original movie.
I was surprised. As somebody who had never seen Dumbo, I was like, this is Dumbo the Flying Elephant, right? I haven't seen this motherfucker fly like already an hour in. There's only 4 minutes left. When's this fucking asshole gonna fly?
There's not a lot of flying in this Flying Elephant film.
No.
Even the first time he flies, you don't see that he flies.
Right, you just all of a sudden in a tree.
Yeah. Dumbo, you can fly, dude. But yeah, I was shocked, right? Like again, this movie actually surprised me several times, which I was not expecting at all. And when he flew so early, I was like, "Whoa, what are they going to do now?"
Right.
And they actually like made that progression work.
It worked so well, and they did it so well. And, you know, they eased you into it. Like, okay, first the kids kind of see him fly, nobody believes him. And then now Dumbo is flying a little bit more, and they kind of figured out how to make him fly. And then now here's the big show, and Dumbo's going to fucking blow your fucking minds. He's going to fly around, and everyone's going to love this guy. And I just love the steady progression. And then I was like, yeah, Dumbo, you fucking fly. You show everybody how cool you are, man. Because, like, and then they, like, raise the stakes. Like, he's going to burn to death if he doesn't fucking get off. It was nuts. And I fucking loved every fucking second of it.
Pretty cool.
Which is why I don't like so many things in the second half, because you did this beautiful job of building up to this. But like we said, Michael Keaton's character, I'm just crazy all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know how to do this. Why can't we do it?
We've seen you do it. And like, because we were talking about Eva Green's character, like, because she has this like high-rise kind of like trapeze, you know, aerial act type of deal. And Michael Keaton, in a villainous way, takes away the net without telling anybody.
Right.
And it's like, whoa, that's
seriously.
Stakes.
Yeah.
And like that seemed actually really good. Even with like Hulk coming in and helping and stuff like that. Which you know, I thought all that was great. And then Dumbo kind of briefly reuniting with his mom, stuff like that. Like everything was set up so nicely. It felt like towards the end of the film, you're like, well, how do we stop this ride? You know? Because like the original film has no problem with just
let's keep him in the circus, and we'll just end it here.
You know, this movie is trying to do a lot, and I think in a lot of ways, to your point about the action, it succeeds really well. Like that fire scene is so good when the little girl goes up,
and then she falls, and you're like, oh my god! And then it's like, Dumbo, man, like. Oh, I was like, I swear to God, if anything bad happens to Dumbo, I would kill everybody who made this movie.
No, you're like rooting for Dumbo, and you know, I really enjoy that element. And Eva Green, to your point, comes in so late, and by the time she's there, right? I care what happens to her, but I really want to make sure Dumbo gets this flight thing going, and like if she's there, I'm cool with that, but like I'm not really I guess I'm concerned because it's a human. Like, all right, she may fall off the net, right, with no net. Like, but I really kind of want to see, is Dumbo going to fly here? Because you know, that's a big part of this whole thing coming together.
Yeah, man. Like they put Dumbo in danger so many times in this remake. I'm at the edge of my seat way too often in this movie, worrying about if they're going to kill this elephant, I'm going to fucking flip the shit, man. And you know nothing's going to happen. They set it up so well so many times. And
the tension's really good.
They're really good building the tension.
Which we'll talk about at some point. The score really.
I do want to talk about the score.
Yeah.
Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
Really did a good job.
Really making this elephant stuff work. 2 grown men talking about an elephant. Really hope he flies. But love to see that elephant flap those ears and fly across that big top. That's
any second now. Come on, man. Just fly.
Does he have the feather? He's got the feather. Okay.
Speaking of which, I love that they use the feather. It reminded me of like Mario.
Yeah.
He needs the feather to fly.
that was really well done, by the way. To take this small element in the original film and to do it in like kind of this cute way where like, he's sneezing and like the feather thing really worked, and I thought I was going to hate it, and I actually thought it was well done. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Again, all this is to say that, like, the movie's about Dumbo. We get really hyped when we're talking about Dumbo. Like Eva Green, don't really care.
Yeah.
And I think it's because she shows up too late, and I don't think she doesn't have an arc. Like, everyone else has an arc. She's just kind of like,
her kind of arc is like, now I don't need him anymore. I'm going to do my own thing. But again, we don't need that arc because we're already invested in so many different arcs at this point. She is a late player in the game. And
that's really why she suffers. She shows up too late in the film and is too tied into a character that's far more important.
Yeah, and it's like when Dumbo is on the screen, the movie works so
really
well. And you're just cheering for him the whole time. So anybody's arc is gonna pale in comparison because that's who we care about, man.
I mean,
that's who we care about.
Kudos to the artwork team, the design work on Dumbo to really make you care about him. Yeah. To put him in like that realistic but still kind of cartoonishly cute space.
Yeah, he's a little cuter, a little more cartoon looking, like bigger eyes.
Yeah.
And, he looks. He kind of looks like an elephant, but you can tell there's definitely something. Yeah, it's not just the ears. Then they can.
They round out the face and like even like the when they do the clown scene again. I thought it was awesome. Yeah. Like the work they did to make him.
Yeah, to make him the sad clown. I was like, oh, I feel so bad for Dumbo. He looks so sad. Oh, it's just makeup. But I feel so bad for Dumbo, man. Yeah. I'm telling you, every time that fucking elephant is on
that kid is a star. He's going places.
He should have been the star of the movie,
I really wish Dumbo was the star of this movie. Again, long story short, Eva Green, fine. Unfortunately, she's a victim to the same problem that almost every other human character has in this film. There's too many of them with too much at stake. And ultimately, the only thing I care about is that elephant going to fly?
Is that Dumbo?
Is that elephant going to fly and is he going to get back with his mother? Yeah. That's really it. If the kid does science, cool, I guess. If Hope figures out this horse thing, all right. Eva breaks up with her abusive ex, all right, cool. Like, yeah, but like, what about the elephant though? What's the elephant doing right now?
You made me care so much about this fucking elephant. Just put him on the screen, goddammit.
You know what was really goddamn awesome? The way they made the pink elephants in the sky work in that remake.
Pink elephants. So?
The focus on Dumbo's face is like, oh, shit.
No, yeah, so let's get into that. Let's talk about some things that the remake did, which I thought were actually pretty well. And one of the things was, the Pink Elephant Parade. And that, it's like, how are you going to do that? Because in the original film, Dumbo gets drunk. I was like, man, I don't know what he drank, but I never fucking saw that shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I was like, I don't know if I want this Dumbo to get drunk because I'm invested in this fucking elephant, man. I don't want anything bad happening. I don't want him getting drunk. So I really like what they did in the remake. Let's make it part of the act. We're gonna have these fucking bubbles, and then they're gonna shape into elephants.
Very cool scene.
It was really cool. You can incorporate that bizarre pink elephant shit, and you can make it like, this is realistic. Obviously, nobody can do that with bubbles, but it's a magical. It's a realistic movie with magical elements. So I was able to buy in. Like, we can do this.
I bought into it elevates Keaton. It elevates Keaton because his show is legit. I've seen Danny DeVito's show, which is pretty cool. He's got some, interesting stuff. Like Keaton, this big top, fucking showgirls all over the place. The bubbles are magic. What the fuck? And then like Dumbo's like, oh shit, and I'm just like, I'm vibing with him
because Dumbo's enjoying it. I'm enjoying the scene as well. Dumbo's happy. I'm happy.
It was such a well done scene, and then they go right into that, right in that tension that we're talking about. It. Right. All right, we've got this big setup. Is Dumbo gonna do it?
Is he gonna fly?
You know, like when you get the pink elephants in the sky, which I'm shocked. Again, I'm shocked and surprised by this movie that it worked.
It worked because it's such an iconic scene. Like I had never seen Dumbo, but I knew about that.
Yeah.
I just knew about the pink elephants because it had been done so many times in like other pop culture mediums.
Right.
So like the fact that they were like, well, we're just gonna ignore that. No, you don't. They didn't just not ignore it. They totally embraced it, and they made it so well, and it was so plausible. And I was just so happy to see those fucking pink elephants. It was a fantastic scene.
It was a great scene, and then to go from the pink elephants, that last big bubble just pops. You bring Dumbo up on the high rise. Marion, God damn it, Eva Green.
Drink every time he says Marion Collard.
Yeah, that's my thing. I'm sorry. She's on that little chandelier thing coming up in the sky. Like it was like a real show. I was like, this is fucking entertainment. Yeah. This is why Dumbo makes the big buzz. More Dumbo, more all the time. I want that shit in my veins. And like it was so good. And that scene like culminates with like it's not going well, right? You know, like it that was actually kind of a disaster for every party involved. And again, elevated Keaton so much because his circus is huge. Mm-hmm. He becomes a huge villain right there in that scene. He's uncaring about Eva Green. He's uncaring about Dumbo. All he cares about is the almighty dollar, and it all happens in what really could in a worse film that really shouldn't have worked.
No,
like there's no reason why Pink Elephants in the Sky should have translated that well into a modern film because. You know, rewatching the original film, I was like, oh, this is...
It's like, oh, if I have a light sensitivity, I might have a seizure right now.
Yeah. I was like, that's kind of out there and nutty. Which, like, I guess, you know, that's cool too, but, like, the way they integrated it in this, it was like, oh, no, this is still part of the movie. This isn't, like, some random drunk aside. This is, like, this is the show, man.
And then, again, we're gonna bring it up. Danny Elfman's score. Phenomenal. Not just the way he, you know, redoes the Pink Elephants on Parade, but also that scene after you said with Eva Green. Yeah. I think I heard like elements of Edward Scissorhands in there or something, man. Because I was like, I'm feeling things here just from the music and the whole setup. It was gorgeous, man.
The score is phenomenal.
It's so good.
Phenomenal. Just the soaring nature of it, like his ability to just like really like dial up that tension. It's an elephant on a platform, and I'm like you mentioned Transformers, like this is way better than Transformers. Again, I'm in my 30s, and I'm like, is this elephant gonna make it?
I'm almost in my 40s, and I'm crying like a little kid, like, oh man, I forgot everything. I was a Dumbo. I want to hear everything. So yeah, all the Dumbo shit it just works.
More Dumbo.
I have nothing bad to say about
more Dumbo. All day.
In this movie.
Less people, more Dumbo. Let's get Dumbo. Licensing Dumbo. Hats, Dumbo shirts. No, it was fun. What a great scene. I did not think we were going to talk about this film like this today.
I did not expect to, like, you know, especially the stuff that they pulled from the original film. Yeah. They did so many things well. So obviously the Pink Elephants on Parade, that was masterfully done. But there was other subtle touches. Like we're talking about the train. The train. Just to have it, you know, the train's not like fucking marching around.
It's got a little face.
Yeah, it's got the face, and it's still like a focal point. There's very purposeful shots of like, let's get the fucking glamour shot. Let's see the face, and you're gonna fucking be happy you're seeing this train because it's such an important part of that original film.
Actually, a very, very good intro. Yeah. Like you said, the train's a focal point. You get the traveling thing, the Medici brothers, even though there's just one Medici. Yeah. Circus, like, you're getting all these elements of like, okay, they're in Florida, they're traveling in this circus troupe. You immediately come right out of the train. You get the Casey Jr. train song in like 5 seconds because Dan DeVito was just kind of like humming or whistling the tune. It's like, all right, we got the Casey Jr. thing. We don't have to sit in that too much, but we made the nod, and it worked so well, dude.
It was like a montage in the beginning because you see the train traveling around, and then you see like all the different performers
the strongman,
on there,
the mermaid,
and I gotta say again, that score Danny Elfman played, man, just like the beauty of what like a circus could be, what it means when it comes to town, like, how this is like a huge event for people that really don't have a lot going on, but the circus is in town. Oh man, this is magic,
right? You see
and that score just captures the train.
That. Yeah,
Danny Elfman. You still got it, buddy. You still got it.
And then after all that, Dumbo. Boom.
Oh, when the title hit the screen, I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to go, man. I
was like, this is nuts.
Danny Elfman and fucking Tim Burton, you got me again, sirs.
They did it. They did it, man. But yeah, I think because like how like hopeful and like big everything felt. I think that's why originally I was like, I didn't read it as a Burton film per se, because like I know Burton can do a lot of things, right? But like he usually kind of sits a little bit back in that like darker mode, and it was such a like almost like uplifting thing, and then like going back was like, okay, the guy missing an arm, no net, like villain goes nuts at the end. I was like, okay, there's Timmy, man, that opening sequence is really, really good.
It's really solid, and it's just really happy that they. You know, they're not going to be like, well, the train obviously can't be alive, so we're just going to say, fuck the train. No, we're going to focus on this train. We're going to go on a journey. We're going to have some fun. We're not going to have anything happening. We're just going to see a little bit of circus, have some good music, and you're going to be so happy when you see that Dumbo just come across the screen. And yeah, it works.
It works really well. I thought every time they tried to allude to the original film, which is usually what we hate about remakes, right? Because like, oh, here they go, because they did in the original.
Yeah.
But like, even the stork, they're like, there's a stork. Got it? Good? All right.
The stork, I love how they did the stork too, because like, obviously in the animated film, you got the storks with the actual babies, and it's like...
Mr. Dumbo.
And it's like... Yeah, and I'd never seen the original film, and then that whole speech where he's like, going back and forth with Mrs. Jumbo, I got the element and the paperwork. And I was just like, oh man.
He started that up like 3 different times. Yeah,
it was rough.
It was rough.
So like, I'm just happy. Like, okay, there's some storks in the sky, and what happens? Just lands on Mrs. Jumbo's cart and then leaves. That's it. That's all you needed, man.
Perfect.
That was such a beautiful way to incorporate that thing. That was pretty heavy in that intro.
Yep. Like when I saw the stork, I was like, all right, what are we about to do here?
Yeah.
And he just leaves.
That's it, man.
He just leaves. Like,
so it's like, if you've seen the original, you're gonna be like, man, I like that.
That was a nice touch.
It's just, you know, my thing with remakes is like, if it's outdated and you can like just update it somehow, and like I feel like this movie does that really well with a lot of these different elements.
Yeah, this movie clearly, because I think that's probably where we're heading after this, but this movie forges its own path.
Other things that this remake does really well, like we mentioned the stork, you know, he's a big player in the original, but you know, we don't have talking animals in here, but they still have Timmy Q Mouse in the remake. You know, he's just being taught by the daughter, just like, you know, you're clear of health, you're good to go. So, and then he's just like introduced to Dumbo, and then like it didn't even hit me until like he's on Dumbo. I'm like, oh my god, it's the mouse from the fucking original film. Right. He's got the band leader outfit, and I'm still like, what's to do with this mouse? Oh shit, it's the mouse from the original film. So you know, he's not gonna be the one that like teaches Dumbo everything, because obviously he's a mouse. But you know what? He was a big player, so here he is. There's the two of them together. There's your money shot. Are you happy? Okay, now we can move on. Just little things like that. They work so well in this remake, man. Yeah,
I think that when they introduce the Timothy Mouse character, it's nice and subtle, right? Like here he is. He's wearing the outfit. It's grounded in realism, like the film is.
Right.
And you know, without diving too deep into it, they're like, oh yeah, like, he'll need a friend now that his mother's gone, because at this point, the mother has been kind of removed from the situation. So though they don't really lean into the mouse thing that much in this remake, he's still an important character, because like the central premise is that like the same as the original film. Your mom's not in the picture. Here's your protector, your friend, something like that. And they just throw it out there. He's still a presence in the film, though like clearly not nearly as important. But Same general premise without having to have like that old timey like. I don't even know. Is that like a New York accent? Like, I don't know what the hell that was.
Come on, Dumbo. You're gonna be a star. No. So again, just it's something that you can't really do in your live action remake that you're making more realistic, but you at least acknowledged it. You made any fans of the original film happy. Good on you. Also, just building on that, the change of the name from Jumbo to Dumbo. I like how they did that.
Oh yeah, that was very nice.
He's like, so hey Dumbo, we're calling him Dumbo now. Yeah, well if he hears Jumbo Jr., he might think of his mom. Might make him sad. So let's just call him Dumbo. It's like, wow, that's a simple solution. That works so well.
Makes a lot more sense. Yeah. And they even did the sign thing.
Yeah. I mean, that was a little over. It says Dumbo now. I was like, oh, Jesus. Yeah.
It was a bit much, you know.
It was a little much, but I do like the reason that everybody else is going to call him Dumbo. I thought that was really well played.
Yeah. Because, like, something that in the original film is, like, he's being made fun of, right?
Yeah.
Like he's being...
Yeah, look at his hair, Dumbo.
Yeah, he's being bullied and they just flipped it. They're like, no, you know, we're only calling him Dumbo so he doesn't feel bad about his mom being missing. I was like, oh, cool. I can ride with that. Great explanation. Way better than what they did in Solo, a Star Wars movie. Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Moving forward.
I just want to mention one other thing. You talked about there's a lot of music in the original film that you weren't sure if it was even a musical. There's not a lot of that in the remake, but they do have one song in the remake, and it's the song, you know, when Dumbo is trying to reunite with his mom. Yeah. You know, it's just sung kind of like by the elephants, I guess.
Like lullaby type of deal almost, yeah.
It's sung, but like they do kind of like a campfire song in the remake, which I was like, okay. Yeah. And then when Dumbo and his mom are reunited, when she's in her fucking prison and he's outside.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, you're gonna have grown men crying.
You doing alright? You doing alright, buddy?
Again, when you do the Dumbo scenes and that remake it flies, man. It soars. Yeah. They nail that shit. I thought it was really sad. I watched this movie with Sam. You know, she was crying a little bit in the original, like when Dumbo is like snout to snout and she's like in prison. And I was like, this is okay. I'm not gonna cry. But the remake, I was like, fuck me, man. I was just, don't look at me. Don't look at me.
He just wants his mom.
He just wants his mom, man. And it's just like it.
Yeah,
it works so well, man.
Yeah, they nailed it. I mean, I think sort of the overall theme here is that anytime the remake is dealing in that space of like the original film, they do like, I gotta say, like a near perfect job of making the reference, getting that story arc in there, even without like the animals talking now. It just works really, really well when they're doing these like homages to the original film. And I can't really think of a lot of spaces where they like miss the mark there. Yeah. Where I think they start running into trouble is when they are trying to do the addition, which is usually where we really enjoy remake films. But like here, I think they're just trying to chew on so much at a time that I think it gets away from them a bit. And not to say that some of these new elements don't work, but like that's where the film, when it runs into trouble. And but all the original stuff, all the music and stuff like that, is just great. Yeah,
fantastic. The movie is pretty freaking solid from start up until Dumbo's first flight.
Yeah,
right before Michael Keaton's character is introduced. Up to that point, it's so true to the original. It follows that original plot, and it hits everything perfectly. Like you said, it nails those homages. Yep. Here's an homage, but we still move on with the plot. You're going to care about this stuff. It keeps things really simple because, like you said, that's plot of that original. Very simple. Yeah. So it's kept simple, and it's easy to follow. It's easy to root for Dumbo. It's easy to care about Dumbo. Easy to care about his mom and the relationship between the two of them. And it's really simple, and then it takes its own path, and then it's not simple anymore. And the focus isn't on Dumbo so much anymore.
It gets, like, weirdly complicated. Like, in a way that two men in their 30s that love that little outfit. I was actually kind of confused when we first get into like Dreamland, which is this new element that Michael Keaton's character brings to the movie. He basically tells Danny DeVito, "You're thinking small time. You're going town to town, trying to get people to come to your show. Make them come to you. Make a spectacle." And he created this sort of like World's Fair, kind of like World of Tomorrow place, which was cool. But there's just a lot going on in Dreamland, From the moment you get there, right? Like, they got Dumbo in, like, who just had this triumphant, amazing flight.
Amazing flight.
Just life-changing, Everything's going to be different. And now you got him in, like, a little cage, and you're putting him in random other locations. And they're introducing these elements. There's the science part of it. There's the big top. Is it a circus? Is it something else? Like, that was already confusing. You start introducing elements of, like we mentioned, Alan Arkin, with his seed money and investing. It's like, okay, now we're worried about banking. I'm worried about Danny DeVito's like stakes in the company. Like, when it stops being about Dumbo is where they have issues because they think we care about everybody else, and I just want to see an elephant fly.
Yeah, there's a lot of focus on the humans. We're maybe a little bit less than halfway through the runtime.
It's crazy that we're only halfway through. And,
so everything's better. Danny DeVito is partner with Michael Keaton's character, so he's just rich. But unfortunately, like we said, he takes a back seat because now he doesn't have to be angry. He's not in charge anymore, so he's not even really doing anything.
No, they put him in a room and they say, the secretary will tell you if we need you.
Yeah. Which is played by Mac's mom. It's Always Sunny. So Danny DeVito and I don't know the actress's name, but it's nice to see two Sunny alums in this movie. Yeah, she's fantastic. She has like 2 lines, and she fucking crushes both of them.
Yeah.
Well, I
gotta teach you how to read.
Yeah. What's this about? She's so good.
That was good.
Yeah. She'll let you know if you have any appointments. Do I have any appointments? I'll let you know. I'm sorry. She's a fun character.
Great.
But so his life is going good. So he doesn't really have anything to do. The Hulk character and his 2 kids, they got like a huge suite that they're living in.
Yeah. It was like, hey, the future, not the future cowboy, we're like Hulk, the cow. Like they're like, once you get this Dumbo act, everything's gonna go great for you. So like they're seemingly in a good space.
So like the movie kind of hits a speed bump here because we're worried about Dumbo and his mom, but it's like, no, we're not going to worry about the mom right now because now we have to worry about if Dumbo can have a human with him, like ride him as he flies. So the movie kind of focuses on that for a while. While, you're still worried about Dumbo. Can Dumbo do it? Because like, what happens to Dumbo if he can do it?
Right.
I'm worried about the consequences if he's unable to follow through. It's interesting, I guess, but we're getting away from like the focal point of that relationship between the baby and the mother. And you're introducing the new characters, so we're getting into their plots. And we're going off course here.
Yeah. And something that I didn't really think about until kind of like just now. Also, you've introduced me to no less than 20 circus acts that now are not really in this part of the movie. Yeah. Like, they bring them back at a certain point, but, like, if you were invested in, like, Rongo, the strongman, who also does, like, inventory and stuff like that.
It's pretty funny. It's kind of a running bit that he's the strongman, but then he's got to do the numbers. Yeah. And he's just in the background, like, typing on a typewriter like this. It's pretty funny. And then he's got to play drums, too. Right. Dumbo's show.
He does everything.
Yeah, so I like that character, but he's not here anymore.
If you cared, I don't know how you could, but if you cared about any of these characters, they're out of the movie, basically, for a large portion of this.
Until the end, pretty much.
So it's like, first half, here's all these people. Do you like them? I hope so. Doesn't matter, though, because now it's Michael Keaton's part of the movie.
Now it's Eva Green's part of the movie.
Yeah, and it's just like, I guess it raises the stakes, but, like, I don't know, I was just struggling with, like, does it matter that someone rides him? Like, why does that matter?
I don't know why she has to ride him. I think the fact that an elephant flies is big enough.
That was the draw, you know? Like, I don't think people are like, oh, but like, is a human riding an elephant? Like, I don't know. Like, the movie really gets bogged down in like this almost, it's not a montage, but like this training sequence, and then, you know.
Yeah, and another problem is like, what are exactly the stakes? So if Dumbo can't do it, like I said, I'm always worried about Dumbo.
Sure.
I fucking love that fucking outfit.
Well, yeah, of course.
But I'm always worried about Dumbo. But it's like, so if he can't do it, like, are we gonna kill Dumbo? It's like, or did they just like, well, you don't get your money anymore, so now you're back to just being like your traveling circus,
which might be a good thing.
Yeah, it might be a good thing. So like, I don't understand the stakes here,
right?
And why we're focusing on this so much.
And at this point, we don't know where the mother is. At this point in the film.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So they kind of introduce it because like, oh, if Dumbo does well enough, maybe he can buy his mom back from the people. It's like, okay, like that's out there, but like,
we're not actively looking for her.
No.
Unfortunately.
No. There is no current status report on Mrs. Jumbo. So at this point, as much as it's sad that she's gone, I'm kind of like not really thinking about her.
No, because we're focusing on, can Dumbo have a passenger on him? Can somebody ride him? And, you know, they just focus on it so much. And while, you know, like I said, it is entertaining, that first attempt at the flight is very captivating.
Yeah,
again, because like you put Dumbo in danger, I'm gonna be worried about that little fella. So it's good, but the focus of Dumbo is the baby and the mom. We need to get these two together, because if we don't, I'm gonna riot.
Yeah, and you know, once you kind of get past that first ride that kind of goes disastrously, and Dumbo basically escapes the tent because he hears his mother. Still, like, I mean, at this point, it's still kind of confusing, right? Like, now, okay, wait, his mom's there? All right, well, there's the mom. Seems like we may have solved the problem here.
So this is great. You got both elephants? All right.
Oh.
Case closed.
Hey, Mike, Dumbo, your new star act, likes that elephant. You know, maybe
put them together and then your town's happy. Okay, yeah, sure.
Let's separate them.
Why?
Let's kill the mother.
Wait, what? What the fuck are we doing?
Because I don't want this kid being distracted by having a family or parents. So let's kill Dumbo's mom. We'll have this guy who's wearing elephant boots do the killing. We'll keep it a big secret. We'll make Dumbo jump on the thing again, and that's what I think. As a manager, as a big top circus runner, I think let's kill Dumbo's mom and make him fly for peanuts.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either. It's like you said, Michael Keaton's character comes across as like very, you know, methodical, very collective. Like, I'm gonna do everything to like give me an advantage in life because obviously I got here somehow. Yeah. And then like he completely sabotages himself by going, you know what? Let's kill the mom. Yeah. Why? Yeah. Why? Why are we gonna do that?
It makes no sense. Again, you can start drinking now because I'm about to rewrite the movie. Mrs. Jumbo is at the circus, right? Uh-huh. Michael Keaton, bad guy, sure, right? Maybe you don't kill Mrs. Jumbo. Maybe you say, hey, Dumbo, you'll never see your mother again until you start fucking making with the flying. Mm-hmm. We got her chained over here, and if you want to see your mom, then make with the flying. Mm-hmm. With no intention, you know, at some point he could reveal that I'm never going to let him see his mother. Mm-hmm. I'm only going to exploit this elephant until he's of no use to me anymore. Then I'll kill them both, right? That makes sense from a villainous standpoint. You gave a little girl a locket with a key around it. You got an elephant chained up in the other room. You got a key in chains. You got a key in chains. And you got an elephant that's not going to see his mom, who's chained up. And his best friend has a key around her neck. And let's kill the mom. That's what I call Hollywood writing, boys. Am I done? Can I go sniff cocaine now? Because I wrote the movie. What are you doing? Who wrote this? Don't give me a bald guy with elephant shoes and say I'm going to kill the only other character you like in the movie so that Michael Keaton can be more villain. It makes no sense. It's such a bad turn, and we're good until this moment. We're doing so good. I'm going to kill his mom. What are you doing?
I mean, he rewrote that really well. I think you got to take a shot if you listen to that. That was pretty good.
I mean, why is the little girl wearing a key the whole time? To unlock doors? What doors? What door are you unlocking? The door to be Marie Curie and do science? Who gives a fuck? They're flying elephant. There was no science. There's no God and there's no science because elephants are flying. It's a flying elephant! I'm sorry, I can, these are really good. Seeing pink elephants, boys. God damn it.
I think what Reggie's trying to say is they did a really good job of setting so many things up, right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, they decided to abandon all of that and just completely change directions for no reason at all,
man.
And as a viewer, as regular goers of the cinema, where we usually are used to motives being the reason someone does something, there is no logical reason that Michael Keaton's character really has to kill them all.
No.
At all. Other than to go, this is our villain.
Right. They now, because they actually set him up, he's a smiling guy. He's a smart man. He's doing all this like kind of like amicable, like he seems like a nice, decent person.
He just seems like a little weird and eccentric, and who doesn't really know how to socialize, almost like Willy Wonka.
Right, exactly. Who has redeeming qualities. You've done this before in film, Mr. Burden. The other thing too is again, I brought up that one character earlier that brought the elephant back,
right?
Because he was clearly a villain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Keaton, not clearly a villain like that guy was. So like, I didn't know if that guy that bought the elephant was going to come back and play, right? Like, I mean, I thought that was going to be our big bad at one point, but he was never back in the film.
Yeah,
you've taken this character who I'm kind of behind in a weird way. Because like, oh shit, it's the circus of the future. And you're like, no, he's just a bad guy. Like, that's just what he is. He'll never be anything more than just a bad guy who maybe he had a contentious relationship with his father, like Willy Wonka did with his dentist dad. And they patched that up by the end of the film. But not this movie. He's going to kill that elephant. It doesn't make any financial sense.
No.
It doesn't make any sense in terms of motivation to get Dumbo to fly. Nothing about this decision makes any sense other than to be like, okay, we've like arbitrarily raised the stakes of this film so that now we have to do basically like elephant heists.
Yeah, we're gonna go Oceans here.
We're going full Oceans DeVito. We're going DeVito's 11 here, you know. I mean, it's just
I like that.
It's 11. So strange. And I was really just not just strange, I was actually confused at this point. Like,
I had to rewind the movie because I was like, where did that decision come from? And then I rewound it and was like, oh no, there's no explanation. He just says, I'm going to kill the mom for no fucking reason.
It makes no sense. And then like, he's like, yeah, you're coming with me, right, Evergreen? He's like, I don't think so. Then the other guy quit, who I didn't know who that guy was.
Yeah, he's like, I quit because I heard the mother was getting killed. Like, I don't know who you are,
Who are
motherfucker. I don't care. Yeah, you quit.
I heard it too. I don't need you to tell me. Like, I heard when you said it. Like, what? This is a bad turn.
Yeah.
It's a bad inciting incident.
It's up there with like Anakin in Episode 3. Like, I guess I'll just go to kill younglings now.
Yes. Yeah, the younglings thing was just that comes out of nowhere too. Like, it just why?
Why?
Why? The movie was doing so fine. Like, there's other ways to make the stakes higher. Like that whole rewrite I did. But like, it's a shame. It's a shame. You know?
It is a shame. But let's keep moving forward with this plot. So
onward. Yeah.
So, like we said, at this point, they're like, well, they're gonna kill the mom, and like, you know, this is messed up, Dumbo. We got to do something. So everybody decides, yeah, let's do something, and then let's just throw another thing on top here. Sure. Let's free Dumbo and his mom, because apparently, animals working in the circus is animal cruelty,
right?
And let's just free all the animals.
In the last 15 minutes, it is. Yeah.
So it comes less about let's reunite mother and son. Let's free them, which. As a vegan, I'm all about that. I do not like animals being exploited, but that's not the movie I was watching.
Did we establish that before this?
Not at all.
No, I didn't think so.
Not at
I
all.
didn't think so. I agree with the sentiment. Like, I don't want to go to a circus with animals in it.
No, not at all.
I've got no interest because of the dark history of it. I mentioned that movie Water for Elephants, which is kind of about that, which is why I didn't want my children's movie to be anything like Water for Elephants. Yeah, man, where'd that come from? Where'd that come from?
Comes out of nowhere.
The whole point of the movie is he's a circus elephant.
Right.
Now, I get that that's not good, but you address that by making it a period piece.
Right, exactly.
Like, if your kid's like, oh, I want to go to a circus and see, like, elephants, and like, well, actually, as a parent or whatever, like, well, they don't do that anymore. And you see, like, they're wearing, like, old funny clothes because, like, people used to do that.
Yeah.
People used to padlock elephants and put mad elephant on a cage, and we've addressed that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need to necessarily take the next step of, like, now this is about animal liberation, because it's not. It's about a flying elephant and whether he's going to hang out with his mom again.
Yeah.
That's all this is about. Go watch the original hour, and when they're really padding that out with nonsense and racism, because they ran out of things to talk about because the elephant and the mom, like that was it. I don't know, dude. Yeah, it goes real crazy right here.
It's again, it's not good to exploit animals like this.
No.
So obviously, yeah, I'm in favor of not having that. But that's not the film we established. The first hour and a half.
Yeah.
No. So like to just throw it in. Oh yeah, and we're gonna go animal lib over here right now.
But like, if you were gonna do that, then the little girl who's in the science the whole time should have been like, we really shouldn't be using these tactics. We really shouldn't be putting them in cages. You could have free range elephants. You know what I mean?
Stop rewriting the movie.
I know, my bad. But like, yeah, it just comes out of nowhere. And then there are elements of like the busting out Miss Jumbo scene that I like. But then there's other elements where I'm just confused. It's like, when did they find the time to dress up like alligators and shit like that? When did that happen?
Yeah, it is weird. Again, it's just like kind of like what I said for the daughter. It's kind of we're putting these kind of 21st century ideas into this early 20th century period piece. And while it's great, but if you want to really be true to the times, they weren't really concerned about, let's return the animals to the wild. I mean, man, they put them on a boat and everything. It was they found like an elephant thing in some random country. I don't know where we're going here.
I don't think that would work.
I don't know. But anyways, so
sorry.
That becomes the plot.
Right.
The whole time I thought we're just going to reunite son and mom, but no, we're going to free son and mom now.
What I hate about that, right, is that you've set up this film where this family, right, because the circus ultimately is a proxy for a family. Yeah. Like they are quite literally family. And Dumbo's part of that family. Mrs. Jumbo's part of that family. Let's reunite, fucking Fast and Furious style. Let's get the family back together. And when you get the triumphant, like, we reunited, you immediately ship Dumbo and his mom off?
Yeah.
Somewhere else?
Well, the problem is with the animal, like, liberation is, like, it undermines that reunion. I should be jumping for joy when Dumbo and Mom are reunited. Right. But no, instead I'm like, oh my god, now we gotta get out of here. Because if they're caught, then they're not gonna be free, because that's what we're doing now. We gotta free these animals. It should be like the most joyous moment in that whole movie, just seeing the two of them reunited. But it is so underplayed because we have to free them. It's
actually one of the sadder parts of the movie. Because they give him a hug and they put him on a boat. What are you doing? I get it, let's not exploit animals for entertainment, stuff like that. 100% love that message.
This wasn't the movie to do it.
Maybe do it, or maybe do it kind of after, you know what I mean? Like, maybe they, there's a way to... I'm rewriting the fucking movie.
There's a way to do it.
There's a way to do it.
The way they did it was sloppy.
Thank you.
For sure. But, we're kind of glossing over our main villain.
Yeah.
Because before Dumbo and Mom are reunited, there's some security measures that have to happen or get over overturned or whatever.
Sure.
And so pretty much there's the final act that's happening, and then like Eva Green's like all in on Dumbo. There's this huge Ocean's DeVito's 11.
Yep, DeVito's 11
happening. And like he has his arc too. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna help you guys out, even though I'm not really in on the plot. But you're like you said, like the family thing.
Yeah. So
let's take care of each other. And ultimately, Dumbo is able to escape with Eva Green. They get to some control tower that I didn't know. I didn't know. Control all the power in the park. Sure.
Would have been nice to foreshadow that.
Yeah. Yeah, like let's when he was showing them Dreamland, you could have just been like, "Oh, this is also the control center." This is the control center right here. Everything works here. The only reason I have this is because here.
Don't stop
rewriting this
goddamn
movie.
Sorry.
Anyways, so they make it to this control tower, and
I actually love this scene. This part of the scene,
it's pretty funny
because Dumbo's just fucking pulling everything.
It's funny because Eva Green starts, and then like one of the guards is like, "Hey, get off that." Then Dumbo starts doing it. He's like, "You get the elephant." I'm not fucking going the elephant. So that's pretty funny. So yeah, Dumbo is really smart, and he's able to turn all the levers to the off position pretty much, and then the park starts losing all its power, and this isn't good because Alan Arkin's like, what's happening now? This looks really bad, as Alan Arkin does, and then Michael Keaton's like, oh no, I'm not losing all my money. So Michael Keaton makes it to the tower. I don't know how much he knows about how the electronics work in his own park. Apparently jack squat.
So you remember when you said Dumbo was pretty smart? Dumbo was able to kind of figure out advanced electronics. Like his electrical work was phenomenal. He knew what to shut down and when.
In what order?
And I mean, it was a masterful job of shutting everything down. Michael Keaton with a guy who's like, "Hey, dude, you hired me to run this. I'm telling you, you're going to overload the systems. Fuck the systems."
He just hits every fucking lever. Shit starts blowing up. Continues hitting levers, more shit blows up, still hits more levers, shit is on fire around it, doesn't matter, he's still gonna flip those levers. I thought he was gonna fucking die. I thought
he was too. And what's confusing about this, right, is
everything?
Everything is confusing about it. You've introduced an element where the whole investment is relying on Dumbo flying, which he did, by the way. People saw Dumbo fly, and I'm sure they enjoyed it.
People saw Dumbo fly the first time too, but for some reason
it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. That could have been a trick elephant. This time, I think everyone seemed pretty satisfied with the flight. He left. Yeah. So the show went well.
The show was a success.
Successful show that you then decided to light your entire park on fire with paying customers in it, like creating a nightmare insurance and liability scenario. And I don't know why, because your elephant might lead. You were already successful. Yeah. You had Dreamland. Dumbo was icing on the cake. It made no sense for him to just
destroy his whole park,
burn it all down.
I didn't get it. Like his focal point at that point should have been, let's get the elephant, not let's fix my park. It was so weird.
Weird, right? Like, okay, the power's off. Okay. The power's off.
You saw what he could do, though, right? So we're still good? We're good?
Yeah.
Right, cool.
And you've got that loudspeaker thing? Ladies and gentlemen, brief technical difficulties. The show will go on
there you go.
in the next 5 minutes. But he just goes mad as a fucking hare. He just starts turning every switch, and he blows the whole thing up. I was so confused.
And he just kept going.
Why would you do it?
Like, I get, I'm going to try to save the park, and then, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. But no, he doesn't have an oh shit button.
No.
He just keeps fucking going.
Pull it.
What the fuck, man?
Pull that lever, twist that knob. And the whole time, someone being like, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, what you're doing is... Because I didn't know that he couldn't just turn it back on. I thought he could just turn it back on. Yeah. But the guy told me you can't do it. So I'm listening to the guy. He's wearing a little hat. I'm listening to him. So he's a dummy, right? So he wasn't a smart man at all in the movie. I thought he was smart the whole movie. And then it turns out he's just a dummy. And I think that kind of sucks. Yeah. I wish that he wasn't just a dummy, because I think there was still a way for him to try to be evil to the elephants without blowing up his park. Yeah. Maybe he tries to stop the boat.
Yeah, there's so many things he could have done, but I feel like the movie just kind of backs itself in the corner. We don't know how to get rid of this character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, like, he's too powerful.
Right.
So let's just have him sabotage himself.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's in the most obscene way. It doesn't make sense at all.
It's really, really bad. Because, like, I don't understand his motivation.
A 5-year-old would have more sense than what he just did to destroy his whole
I know. Because they're even when the park was on fire, you have his little henchman who's still trying to get Dumbo, right? So, like, Dumbo isn't gone.
Right. No.
He's not anywhere but where you would expect him to be, in the park. Okay, again, like we said before, the lights are off. Sometimes the lights go off in my house. Sometimes it takes a couple minutes for me to get my lights back on. I'm running what I assume is a multi-million-dollar operation. Why is one show with one elephant, who did the job, by the way, who flew? No one
with someone riding him.
You've seen a gadfly. You've seen a housefly. Bruce Buffer? Why? The fuck? Or is it Michael Buffer? It was one of the Buffers. Like, let's get ready to Dumbo.
Yeah, let's get ready to Dumbo.
Terrible.
It's like, all right,
terrible.
God, we're doing this.
Never do that. Stop it. They did it twice.
They did it twice.
Because
we the first
yeah,
time.
the first time. Yeah. Well, anyway, long story short, I just didn't understand why this character devolved into a madman, and it just didn't fit. And I hated that that's how they decided to finish his arc, because there's just so many smarter ways to do it. Something as simple. Never mind. I'm not rewriting film, but it was a bad movie.
Like, honestly, how long do you think would have taken if you went through the proper channels to restart the park?
5 minutes.
I was gonna say half-hour tops. So, like, yeah, it's like, no, I want it now. I'm gonna destroy everything. Like, I get hubris, but man, I don't know what that was.
That was beyond. And like, I mean, I guess like you were saying, like a 5-year-old. I guess is to make a 5-year-old be like, no, I don't like that guy. Look at him. But like, I'm not 5, and it's a family film, so it's not like, yeah, it's for kids, but it's not just for kids. And like,
actually, a lot of the material is very adult.
Yeah, seriously. It was. And I think they actually handled both well. There's a lot of times when you're watching a kids film and you're like,
yeah.
Like, I think they actually had a great balance until they just kind of like do everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just kind of fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. We gotta end this movie somehow. Just have them go fucking nuts. Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. so that you can then have another, like, again, arbitrary scene where Colin Farrell and his kids are kind of stuck in this fire in the tent.
Yeah, then Dumbo has to go back and save him. That I didn't like.
Yeah.
I love Dumbo in this movie, but I was like, you making Dumbo go back and like be a hero now?
Right.
We don't need to make Dumbo a hero, man.
They could leave.
They could leave. They could have just. They didn't have to be stuck in a fire.
They didn't have to.
They could have just left, and we didn't have. Again, this movie's 2 hours. We're dragging it out. Mm-hmm. Now Dumbo's already reunited with Mom, but no. We can't celebrate that because I got to go back and save this fucking human family that we don't really give a fuck about at this point. Because they're so stupid that they stay in the fucking tent for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just kind of a bummer. Really, up until this point, I kind of like everything that was happening. Mm-hmm. And it's just such a...
They dropped the ball.
Yeah, they fumbled it. Huge. It's a bad ending, man.
It's not good at all.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not even done.
It's not done. we didn't cover all the 1,000 arcs. So we didn't also go over this. Like, I thought this was kind of cool. In order to free Dumbo, like, every one of the circus performers kind of had to use their talent.
That was cool.
Yeah, so I was like, cool. Oh, okay. I like this. Because, like you said, we don't see them for a while. Yeah. So let's bring them back and like have them like use their strength. Like the mermaid woman does the water thing. The strong guy has to bend the bars. The flexible guy has to get between the bars. It's like the magic guy has to use his fucking staff.
That was cool.
You know these characters, and then here they are doing their thing, and like every one of them is just as important to help free Dumbo and reunite him with his mom. So that was really cool.
It really was an Ocean's 11 style thing. It's like, that guy is going to bend the bars. That, like, the mermaid was like Solid Snake by then. She's like taking people out. It was crazy. I really liked that part. I thought it was a lot of fun. I didn't know why it happened, but I thought it was kind of funny they were the animals in that scene. Like, the heist scene was actually good for what it was, you know? I was like, okay, cool, man. Like, Rongo got his shine with the bars. he actually was strong.
Yeah, because
like,
he's always held in those light weights, but you can see him actually bend bars.
Yeah, dude.
Cool.
It was good. And then it got bogged down with the Keaton stuff, and I was just like, man, I wish we just got that.
Yeah.
And maybe like at the end, Keaton's just like confronts them because like that's all it takes in a movie like this. Like you don't have to blow up your part. I don't know. Man.
I just feel like they really needed a way because like he had so much fucking power.
Mm-hmm.
Like as soon as they like tried to get away, he'd be like, no, I got this thing called lawyers. And
Yeah.
you're all going to fucking jail.
Yeah.
For stealing my shit because they are stealing.
The contract's ironclad.
Yeah. So like we just make him mad and blow shit up, so he has more problems to worry about. He can still sue them. He can still sue them.
Yeah.
It's in his legal right to sue
Yeah.
them. Just throwing that out there.
No, that was his. Yeah.
So anyway, they finally. I know we're going with this fucking ending. So ultimately, Dumbo is able to save Holt and the two kids, and then they fly back, and then like it's dragged out too because like Holt's like only the two kids can fly on Dumbo. So you think, oh, maybe Dad's gonna die. No, just gonna find a horse, and now there's that arc. So now he can ride horses again.
Yep.
And he just escapes on a horse. Everybody's reunited. Everybody says bye to Dumbo. Dumbo and Mom go on some, like I said, random country.
Africa, maybe?
I say Africa. Just a place
Could be Asia though.
Could
Like
be.
somewhere in an Asian country. Asia. Jesus. That's where they're originally.
Good beer.
That's where they're originally from. So I don't know, but like they got this crazy CGI scene in like this lush like green like wildlife scene, and it's like, all right, like I guess it's cool with elephants, but I would rather Dumbo be with those kids than the elephants.
Yeah, it's like, I don't care that Dumbo and his mom found elephants. You know what I cared about? Dumbo and his mom finding each other.
Right.
And we weren't focusing on that. We were focusing on them being free with other elephants. It's like, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong.
Like when a 1941 film that has a mouse become an elephant's agent and sign a multi-million-dollar contract with him and has like a high-class luxury train car where Dumbo's mom is just kind of waving at him while he flies with a bunch of racially insensitive crows. When that's a better ending than this, that's nuts, dude.
It's cool too because like I'm not a big fan of that original film, but I like you don't have to have Dumbo and Mom together. Like he's flying, he's doing his thing, and she's doing her thing, but they're at least they are together, even though they're not like nesting together in a way.
It's a triumphant ending, right? Like he flew, people saw him fly. It's a big deal. He brought wealth and prestige to his elephant family, and now he's calling the shots because he's Dumbo, the greatest thing that man has ever seen in terms of entertainment. And the mouse, who like really stuck up for him the whole movie, he got his end of it because now he's like getting a percentage of the cut and royalties and stuff like that. Like it's insane, but it worked, right? Like Dumbo flew, now everything's good. We've seen an elephant fly. The end, right? Like this. We saved him, we didn't save him, and we put him on the boat. Now he's on the boat, and then we're going to go back and we'll tell you how the humans are doing.
Yeah, we didn't get to the humans and their endings yet.
I know. So after Dumbo and his mom end up in some country to reunite elephants, Danny DeVito's character's gone full arc, so he's like kind of like wrapping up the film. He's telling hey, we're back, we're doing our circus, and there's some changes, and he's like a much nicer, happier person.
Yeah. Much cleaner cut too.
Yeah. So he's no longer in a villain space. He's only in a hero space. Mm-hmm. Hey, look, the guy who does Shakespeare and the Mermaid,
they're together. Okay.
I didn't know that they were a thing.
Not at all.
Nice to hear, I guess. Rongo, the most versatile man on the planet, was like, okay, all right, cool. And guess what, guys? No more cages for animals.
Yeah.
So we're going to free the mouse and we're going to free the monkey and that's it. And now look, it's our friend Holt, the cowboy of the future. And he's got a robot arm in 1919, which actually is pretty badass. That might be more interesting than the flying elephant at this point.
Yeah, can we focus on the guy with the cybernetic arm?
Yeah. The 19...
Is that going to be Dumbo 2, Hulk's Revenge?
Yeah, the pre-World War II fucking cyborg. Yeah. That technology might be useful for future generations. But we'll just use it at the circus. Oh my god. Anyway,
don't forget, he's
and then he's hooked up with Eva Green.
Well, they're not outright saying it, but they give each other a look.
Yeah,
so it's like
they're together.
They're gonna be together if they're not.
They're wearing the same outfit. They're together, and the kids are happy. The daughter, I don't know where the son is in this scene. I don't really care. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm sure he's around, but
he's juggling somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. And the daughter, Nico Parker, is like, she's not doing science, but she's like showing moving pictures. So like, that's
she works a film reel.
Yeah. And you know what, man? Good, right? Huh?
Well, maybe I'm reaching here. Maybe it was implied she might have invented it. I don't know.
Yeah, she might have.
In my mind, she invented it to give her. So she's not just.
What's the difference between that and doing a backflip in the fucking circus? Ultimately, you're an act in the circus. Come on. All right. So it all worked out. Everyone's happy. Dumbo's free, which is not what we wanted, but we did want him to be free. So, but
he is with his mom.
Yeah,
which was way in the background, which should have been the fucking forefront.
Yeah, and mom, elephant, and then like back to humans before we like really got, like it's weird. Like the movie's about Dumbo and it kind of ends on like hope and family. Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's just the framework we talk about a lot with these films. The framework was great, and they just kind of just fell off the rails on this ending. And as I say a lot on the show, it's a shame.
I really don't have much to add. I feel like I've already shit on it enough.
Yeah.
Honestly, first half, solid. Second half, good to a point, and then just completely falls.
Yeah.
Off the rails.
They wrote themselves into a corner, and they didn't know how to write themselves out. No. And it actually wasn't that hard. I just don't know why they went with that choice.
Again, there's too many characters,
mm-hmm.
So there's too many arcs. So there's a way to solve this one, but we have these other arcs too. So let's just have him go crazy because we're already at 2 hours here,
right?
So we gotta cut this shit. We gotta end this shit now, man.
I mean, you're double the size of the other film, and for the most part, we're actually making that worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you said, that fumble word really comes together like right at the end.
Yeah,
right at the end, like. Yeah.
Just like fucking Daniel Jones running a fucking 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah, totally. Bit of a bummer that's how it fizzles out, because like it could have been a better film than it was, with not much more to do.
Yeah. So honestly, there probably is like a way to cut that where you don't focus on all of these other things happening, and just it could be. Just making 90 minutes, it could have been significantly better.
Hour 40, you could shave 20 minutes off this film. That still work.
Yeah.
Easily.
For sure.
Yeah. Why was it so long?
Because we have 1,000 plot points we gotta tie up. That's why it was so long.
Mm-hmm. Well, damn.
So those are the endings.
Yeah.
We kind of skipped over the crows.
Okay, yeah. Really briefly. Because that's kind of like the ending of the remake. Because it's so thin, I'll do the ending of the original. Dumbo is kind of a success as a clown, right? In the original film. A bunch of, leads to the pink elephant scene. A bunch of the clowns are celebrating because everyone thought it was hilarious that the elephant jumped like 20 feet into a bucket, right? They're like, well, let's raise the thing. And they're drinking and celebrating. Dumbo gets drunk. I think Timothy also probably is feeling the sauce. They wake up in a tree and are introduced to crows. This is where the original film explicitly becomes racist. I mean, there's no other way around it. One of the crows was originally literally called Jim Crow,
was in the original script. It thankfully changed his name as Dandy Crow, but still, the fact that you name him Jim Crow is like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Pretty rough. Pretty rough. And it's a minstrel show. It quite literally is a minstrel show. They come up, they shuck, they jive, they do. It's real unfortunate. These crows.
It is all white.
Yeah, it's
voice actors.
It's all white voice actors trying to affect black voices, kind of like that, and it's not good. I mean, the whole thing is bad. Like, it's kind of a shame because they're actually, if it wasn't so racist, probably some of the more interesting characters in the film.
It's not overtly racist. Like you said, you watched it as a kid.
Yeah.
And you didn't come away with, man, I don't know. I don't think children will watch it and be like, you know what? I think that's what that means.
Right.
And that's what that means. Like, you know, and as an adult, you see it and you be like, oh yeah, they're a little fucked up there. But I've seen worse in the fact that this movie came out in 1941. So it's not as bad as other movies have been.
I think, like, the movie isn't explicitly, like, to a modern audience, I don't think, explicitly saying, these are African-American crows. Like, they could kind of come across as, like, almost like beatniks, like that type of deal.
Yeah.
But because of the history of minstrel shows, because of what they're actually doing, which is a parody sort of caricature of black people, it is racist. So I think a kid would watch this and be like, oh yeah, I kind of like those crows.
Yeah, they're fun. Or funny.
Yeah. Which, like, I think is probably what I thought when I was...
Yeah, because they're ripping on, like, dude, you got an elephant fly. How'd you get up here? They're just ripping on Dumbo and the mouse and the whole time. So they're fun characters, like, in a way.
Yeah. And that's the thing, in a way, but because of the dark history of it,
right,
they're not.
Right.
Because at whose expense is the fun, right? But ultimately, like, when the crows show up, the movie picks up and, like, gets itself to where it needs to be. Like, Timothy kind of shames him, like he shames a lot of characters in the film. It's like, look at you beating up on a little guy like this. No mother, no nothing. Just a real big guy as you are. He does this whole monologue and they, like, kind of teach him how to fly. He flies. So that when he gets to the last big show and they have him up on the high rise, when he goes to jump, Timothy's like, yeah, we're going to show him. You're going to fly and you're going to be the biggest thing ever, man. This is your time to shine. And during the flight, he loses the feather, right? So Dumbo thought that he needed the feather to fly. Timothy is pleading with him. It's like, Dumbo, you don't need the feather. It's all just psychology. We were just trying to convince you to fly. Dumbo gets over that, flies, and just rockets his career into the next level. Everyone's, like, amazed. They do, like, the spinning newspaper type deal. Like, a fucking flying elephant. This is crazy. And then they have... which, boy, if it wasn't such a racist minstrel show song, which would probably be one of the more fun songs in the movie.
It's a catchy song.
It's really catchy. Racist is really, really... It's kind of catchy. But, like, it's like this big triumphant moment in the film, and it doesn't really matter what happens, right? It doesn't matter if the mouse is the manager. It doesn't matter that, how the structure of, like, the contract works, right? It's just like, cool, Jumbo, but Dumbo flew. Everyone's happy about it. He gets his mom back. She's no longer chained up. She's actually in a luxury train. And that's the movie. We did it. Dumbo flew and everything was better. Like, that's kind of what we wanted from this remake. And it doesn't happen because all these other things are happening. Mm-hmm. So there's that. But yeah, the crows are racist. Like, there's a scene early in the film that also could have kind of racial connotations when you have, like, the train workers that are kind of like faceless figures.
Right.
That's probably some racist shit. The crows are definitely some racist shit, which, like we mentioned, kind of sucks because, like, they're actually probably some of the most fun in the movie, but you can't get around this imagery, man. Yeah. It's unfortunate. That's why Disney decided to have that disclaimer. Mm-hmm. I think it's an important conversation to have, so we're bringing them up. Racism sucks, and it takes away from what's otherwise a simple, compelling children's story that they just decided to add a bunch of nonsense to, unfortunately. And I think that the remake, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You take the crows out, and then you have, like, it's either Michael or Bruce Buffer, I don't really know. One of the buffers basically doing the line, you've seen a house fly, you've seen a gadfly, but you know, like, okay, so we just, all right, we're going to stay away from that. Mm-hmm. Smart choice by the remake, terrible choice by the original. But that ending, as goofy and stupid as it is, worked better than the ending in the remake because it's just simple.
Yeah.
Simple, straightforward.
It's a simple story, and you need a simple ending, and you overly complicate it
Mm-hmm.
in the remake. So,
overly complicated.
Only hurt the movie.
Yeah. Like, the movie only needed to be a reunion of an elephant and his mother. It did not have to be a heist and a liberation and explosions and a murderous elephant boot-wearing guy. Like, or does his cowboy's arm work with his leg? It's too much. That's how those movies are.
Is there anything else, Reggie, that you wanted to touch upon in these two films? I feel like
I think we nailed it.
Yeah.
We got the music, we got that. The action, we got that. And yeah, I think that's it.
All right. So, only begs the question now. Reggie, should the remake of Dumbo exist?
The original Dumbo film is a beloved Disney classic. I think this is one of the earlier works, like you said. It's the fourth film. I engaged with it a lot as a kid and enjoyed, for the most part, the film, right? I didn't really know about the racial implications until I got older. It's unfortunate, and it tarnishes what otherwise is just really just family-friendly story. This remake wisely stays away from any, I mean, like I said, no-brainer, but wisely stays away from any sort of like racial, elements, right, when it comes to like racism. It does such a good job in this remake of modernizing, well, staying in the same period, this story, filling in some backstory to a fault because there's too much backstory and it bogs down the film. The ending is horrible. It's one of the worst endings that I've seen in relation to an original film. And it's really hard to do worse than like a minstrel show. Like somehow they did that though. It's worse than that, this ending. It's just so bad. But like everything before that, minus some of the Colin Farrell stuff, was really good. And they really were nailing it. They had it. And it was a good-ish, movie for most of it. And although that ending is just really, really damn bad, I'm going to grade on the curve that it's a children's film, right? That, like, it's not really for me. So maybe to a kid, the guy, like, hitting a bunch of knobs and levers works. So I'm going to let that terrible ending go because I think all of the work that they did before that warranted this existing. Does it need to exist? Absolutely not. But, like, whatever. It's a Disney property, and I think they're trying to, like, do a makeup call for the racism. And they mostly got it until it got away from them. So, yeah, I think this remake should exist because, I mean, just off the strength of some of the action, like the pink elephants in the sky, the way that was redone, I think, to me, that was kind of worth the price of admission. And they really got me behind Dumbo for most of that movie. So, yeah, I think it should exist. It's not the best film by any means, but it's a serviceable family film. A little long, especially for a family film, but it mostly works. So, yeah, it should exist.
Like I said, I had never seen the original Dumbo before, and my first viewing, I was surprised because, man, what a thin plot the original film has.
There's nothing there.
That is like so little narrative to really cling on to. I get it. It's like Disney. It's like their fourth film, so they're really just trying to show like what a powerhouse they can be animation-wise. Mm-hmm. So I really feel like they were really more focused on that over plot. They kind of had the mother baby elephant thing in the background, but like it really wasn't the focal point it could have been. So I was really looking forward to the remake tightening that up. They did that really well. I thought what the remake did with what all the elements of the original, I thought they tightened it up well, and I thought they even surpassed it in certain points. Like I said, when Dumbo's reunited with his mom while she's locked up for being a mad elephant, I thought that was, a somber moment when I was watching it in the original animated version, but I seen a grown man cry when I fucking had to watch that in the remake. They just did it so well, and to not have these characters speaking at all, just to have that pure emotion in those moments, they nailed it. And I watched this movie up until the moment where Dumbo flew for his first time. So that's pretty much the whole first film,
right?
The original film. And then I had to stop because I had to make dinner. And then I told Sam, like, oh my God, this movie is so amazing. You're going to love it. So I had to rewatch it from the beginning again. And then got up to that point again. And up to that point, movie is like amazing. I'm on board the whole time. Then Michael Keaton's character, I'm like, okay, maybe. And then, yeah, like you said, it just nosedives in that ending.
Sure.
But, again, every time Dumbo is on the scene, I'm rooting for Dumbo. I am invested in that character. The movie did a really good job of making me invest in these characters that have no speaking roles at all. I mean, granted, Dumbo didn't speak in the original, but the other animals did. And to do that, I'm more concerned about the characters that don't speak than the ones that do speak. It just speaks levels. They nailed it. They nailed Dumbo in the Dumbo movie. They did not nail the human characters, unfortunately. Danny DeVito is a high point for me when it comes to the human characters. Unfortunately, again, like after he flies, we lose him. So they did so much of the movie well, and then the ending, like you said, it does lose something. But I think the Dumbo stuff is still really strong, even in the latter half. Like, I'm still, like, concerned about Dumbo the whole time. Like, I'm never not Team Dumbo the whole time.
Sure.
So, first half, probably some of the strongest remake stuff. I was like, this is going to be the best remake I've ever seen. It doesn't stick to the landing, unfortunately. So, while I love the beginning, didn't like the end, I do think this remake should exist because I think they really did a good job of establishing that, the mother and the son relationship, and I eat that shit up. So that was great. It was good enough in the beginning where it made up for the sins that followed.
I 100% agree that that's 10-15 minutes of the movie where it's not working.
Yeah,
it's probably the most important 10 to 15 minutes, but if you stopped right after like Dumbo kind of like flies out and like they kind of retrieve the mother, if you like stop the movie there, you're like, oh, well done.
Yeah,
like that was awesome. They keep going though, they keep going, and they're trying to like eke out a little bit more from you that they don't need to. And like we both said, I wish they didn't, because it was just unnecessary, and Michael Keaton's performance was so strong before that. Just a shame, man. Just a shame. But it still works. If I had like kids or something like that, or like nieces and nephews that wanted to watch it, I'll watch this Dumbo movie with you, and maybe I'll find something to do the last 20 minutes, yeah, I mean, it works. It works,
man. No, it's just, they really nailed the Dumbo stuff. Like, I love that elephant. I will die for that elephant. No, they did a really good job of the titular character, and unfortunately, they decided to focus it. I could focus on a few human characters, but they just put in so many.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It was exhausting, man.
A lot of people.
And it's like that runtime is just so long. It's a good movie that like overstayed its welcome. Kind of.
Even like the Alan Arkin stuff was like, oh, it's cool. Alan Arkin's in it, but like, why the hell would you put him in?
Yeah,
why don't these two just kind of debate with each other, DeVito and Keaton? I don't know. Like, yeah, it's just a little strange. But yeah, that was sorry. It's okay.
All right. So I mean, at the end of the day, worth the price of admission, but just be wary after it starts making its own path.
Yeah, it left something on the table because like it had the makings to be a great remake, and it ended up being like an okay to potentially subpar remake, and that happens in the end, unfortunately. tough.
Such a strong setup.
Yeah.
And just to see them and like it's kind of like Game of Thrones in a way.
Yeah, no, there's a lot like Game of Thrones. Which they're bringing back. It's the prequels.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's for another podcast, I suppose. All right, so that's what we thought. Did you agree with us? Did you disagree with us? Definitely let us know in the comments. We love hearing from you guys. Reggie, what are we doing for the next episode?
This was a really easy choice for me. Next episode. I've been doing a lot of reading this summer, Dan, and I recently finished a little sci-fi series called Dune.
Ooh.
Yeah, just the first book. I hear they get a little dicey after that. So Dune is about to hit theaters in HBO Max. I think next week or maybe the week after. So I think we should watch the original Dune and this remake that is about to come out in about 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Dune. That's the next series for Retro vs. Remake.
Sounds good. Well, thank you again for listening, for watching. If you're on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe. If you're on iTunes, give us 5 stars, give us a comment. Help us grow this channel because we enjoy doing this stuff.
That's right. Dumbo and his family, they're really important to us. And so are your likes and comments. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, social medias. We're on Facebook. Retro vs. Remake pretty much everywhere. And yeah, as always, thanks for listening. Really appreciate you as an audience and the engagement. So thanks a lot. As always, I'm Reggie Parker.
And I'm Dan Bueller. This has been another episode of Retro vs. Remake. Love that elephant!
Elephant.